Hey guys, welcome back. I've not actually recorded anything for a while. I've been feeling a bit, can I say that word? Online, I'm not sure. Crap, let's say crap. Yeah, I've been having to sleep a lot and stuff. So today I just kind of wanted to play with some makeup, have some fun, because I've not really been doing a lot. So let's get into it. Basically, because we're coming into spring now, and today, I don't know if any of you are F1 girlies, but Lando Norris won the first F1 race of the season, and obviously he drives in papaya or orange, so I thought it'd be really fun to do like an orange eye look, because it's something that I haven't done for ages. There could be quite a lot of fallout, so I'll start with the eyes. And yeah, I don't have a massive amount of energy today, so I'll just see how I go with the chatting along. If I don't talk a lot, maybe I'll do a voiceover, or I'll literally just describe what I'm using and show you, and there won't be much chit chat, but we'll just see how it goes. Okay, let's get started. Actually, I forgot, I've done my skincare today, but not my SPF, so we'll start with SPF. Or should I maybe put Skin Nova? No, I'm not gonna use Skin Nova today. I've been using that a lot. So we're just going in with the Garnier Ambre Solaire Invisible Serum Super UV 50+. This one's really good because it is a serum and it absorbs really quickly, but it still leaves like a nice kind of glowy feel. It still leaves a glowy look and kind of like a, not tacky feel, kind of like a soft, I don't actually know how to describe it. It just makes your skin feel very hydrated, basically. The only thing I don't like about it is it does have that typical sunscreen scent. Not really strong, but I just don't like the scent. I think it's very difficult to actually find an SPF that doesn't smell like that, to be honest. And I don't like heavily scented things, so I wouldn't want to buy one that has like a scent to mask that scent, because that can irritate me as well. I'm just gonna put a little bit here as well. Not actually going anywhere today, but we are sat in the sunlight, so gotta try and prevent the aging. Feeling. Actually, first things first, I haven't actually dampened any of my sponges or anything. I better do that now, because if I have to do that halfway through my makeup, I'm gonna be irritated. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And the reason you want a damp sponge instead of a dry one, well, to be fair, you may want a dry one for certain things, but what I use them for is blending in my base makeup, and it's better if they're damp because then they don't absorb the product off of your face when you're using them. So I'm not sure exactly what look I'm gonna go for today, but I have 3 palettes that kind of have some orangey shades in. The one palette that I do have that has like really vibrant oranges in it is the Vieve palette. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like got 4 colours, 2 oranges in there. Haven't actually got that with me. So I've got these two Natasha? I've got these 2 Natasha Denona palettes, which kind of have what I would call orange adjacent colours, not actual orange. Maybe not as vibrant as I'd want, but then I do have this rimmel palette. It has this vibrant orange in the middle, kind of like a shimmer shade. So I may use a combination of the different palettes. I think actually to start as a transition shade, I may go in with this one and then try to darken it up with this one. Then we'll give it a go with the vibrant orange there, and also maybe a little bit of this in the inner corner, but we'll just see how I go. I may not talk too much through it. I'm just gonna put some eye primer on first. This is the MAC Prep and Prime 24-hour Extend Eye Base. Also, if I'm looking down over here, it's because, oh, that might be a bit much. Expect that. It's because I've got a mirror. Because I can't always see the detail properly in the phone. And I'm going to take it right up to the brow bone, because that's likely the place that I'm going to take my eyeshadow. It's very thin and slippy, this one. I'm not used to it. I normally go in with the MAC Longwear Paint Pot eyeshadow in Painterly as my base. That one's been drying out a lot recently, so I either need to buy a new one or just switch to using something else. And we'll set that down with some powder. I'm not actually sure if I'm supposed to set it or not, or if it's self-setting. Just to be sure, we'll set it anyway. I'll just go in with a fluffy eye brush. And this is the Vieve Modern Powder Perfector in Light I'm using. I'll take this same brush because I've only had the powder on it to go in with the transition shade, which is, can you even see that? Oh yeah, this one, which should be very close to my skin tone. Yeah, so it's not that much darker than my natural skin tone. And I'm just taking that through the crease and across the lid as like an initial base. I'm actually going to take that up a little bit higher as well because it's the lightest colour I'm going with, and I'll need to blend the more vibrant colours in with it later. We can always clean up later, so it doesn't matter if you like take it out a bit too far or the lines are a bit harsh or something. It's always fixable, especially when you use a transition shade. I think what I'm going to do now is darken up the corner. I'm going to go in with this one on the end, which is like a peachy orange. I'll take another fluffy brush for that slightly darker shade because I may need the other brush later for blending. I'm just applying that in the outer crease and outer lid. It's kind of like a V shape to define the outer eye. And I'm also going to go slightly higher with it because I have pretty much hooded lids. You can't always see the colour, like it kind of gets sucked into the, if you see what I mean. So you can do this with your eyes open as well. You can kind of look, and that's how you know where you need to take the colour, and then open up and blend. And I always try to look in the mirror to see how well matched they are as I go, because it's easier to sort of correct that earlier on in the look before you start applying shimmers and different layers of eyeshadow on top of each other. I'm going to take that even higher because I feel like the colour is not really going to show up too much. And that looks quite harsh now, but I will blend the edges out. I'm always scared to do these like vibrant colours or vibrant eye looks because of the lid space is so restricted, and I just think I'm going to look a bit crazy. You just have to trust the process. It's a bit like when you do your base, you know, you get to that weird like middle bit where you look really washed out, you haven't put your bronzer and everything on and it hasn't all come together yet and you just look crazy. It's a bit like that with eyes sometimes as well. You just have to keep going and blending and doing the different layers, and eventually you'll get there. I'm gonna just blow that out a little bit, try to match that one. And now I'm gonna go back in with the previous brush and the lighter shade that I used as transition just to blend the edges. Go back in with this one. Oh no, wrong palette. Go back in with this one. See how that just diffuses the edges? I feel like this side is slightly more vibrant than this one, so we're just going back in with the darker colour slightly here. And I have forgotten to switch the brush back when I reapplied the transition shade, but we've done it now. I'll just have to use 10 million brushes today. I may apply some of the colour underneath the eye, but I'll do that like later on, much later on. Now let's have a look at this orange. So I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good representation. I'm just going to take, because I don't remember what it looks like, I'm just going to swatch it on the back of my hand, just so I can get a feel for how pigmented it is and how shimmery it is. So it's like a coppery orange with what looks like, I think, maybe a mix of like a coppery and slightly pinky shimmer. I don't know how well that's... So I think that actually would be ideal. I want to do a halo eye, or should I put it all on the inside? I think I'm going to apply this all on the first half, like the inside half of the lid. Let's just take that off the back of my hand before I rub it on something. And I think for this, I'm going to use a dense eyeshadow brush so that I can actually pack it on. I may even use a setting spray. For you. Oh yeah, so I've got my little all-nighter setting spray there. I'm just going to spray the end of the brush. It just helps to pick up the product. The camera is not picking up like how pretty that actually is. But I may actually go into the center of my lid and do a bit of a halo eye with like the gold shimmer, the lighter shimmer that I have in the other palette. We'll do another spray on the brush for the other eye. This always makes my eyes sting a bit though when I use the setting spray concentrated like that in a small area. Only for a few seconds though, because obviously then it dries down and evaporates or whatever. I don't know what's actually happened on this lid. There seems to be no eyeshadow there whatsoever. So we'll have to fix that first before I go over the top with the shimmer or another colour. I don't know what happened there at all. Maybe we'll just take the shimmer a bit further out like we did on the other eye. And then what I'll do is I'll blend the darker matte colour that I've used on the outside into the shimmer, just so we've got a more seamless blend. I'm going to take the orange right in here, just so it doesn't look patchy at all. So now I'm going to go back in with the transition shade again, the lightest shade in here, all around the edges, just to really blend that out. It still isn't as like orangey as I would like. It's actually showing up more kind of peachy pink here than it does in real life. It's still orange, but yeah, I don't have my actual orange palette with me. I'm sitting on all of the brushes here that I've used. I've got grey joggers on. Just to enhance this look a little bit more, I'm going to go in and kind of create a halo eye with a lighter kind of gold shimmer in the inner corner and the centre of the lid. So I'm just taking that same dense brush that I used for the orangey shimmer, giving it one spray. So it's this colour in the Mini Sunset palette. I don't want to go full bronzy because I feel like that would take away from the orange, but we just want to pop in the centre of the eye. Just let that dry down for a few seconds before I then blend the edges in. I'm going to go back in with the orangey shimmer. And then I'm just going to deepen up the corner a little bit. So again, this eye is a bit patchy. I'm not quite sure why that's happening. And I don't worry about this here because I'll clean that up afterwards. And then just to see if I can slightly deepen up the corner, I'm going in with this brown, just sort of on the very bottom here towards the lash line. I'm going to take this flatter brush to do that, just so it's a bit more of like a smoky close to the lash line look. But this is a warm brown, so it should go with the orange. Just wanted to create a little bit of depth here. I don't even know if that's really doing much. Oh yeah, it is. I can't actually see it. I can see it better in the camera than I can in the mirror here. We might lose the light soon. And again, we're just going with that original darker shade, that darker kind of burnt orange shade, just to blend into that. And again, we're using a fluffier brush just because it's easier and it just creates like a softer blend. Oh, this side is so much more patchy. Okay, let's just clean up a little bit. And I'm just going to wait for that to dry down where I've used a wipe there. I just need to fill in this area here so it's aligned with that one. That's filled in, but now it's a bit too low, so but we kind of want it to be in line with my lower lash line. This does look a bit crazy how stark that line is, but once my whole base is on, then I'll go back in with the eyeshadow and kind of blow out the edges and like blend it out. That's why it looks this way at the moment. So don't worry, that will be fixed. For primer today, I'm going in with the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I have actually got the pink one, the niacinamide, but this one's older, so I'm trying to use it up first, even though I prefer, because I do actually use niacinamide as part of my skincare routine. And I always take a bit down my neck as well, just because I'm probably gonna go down there with my foundation or skin tint, whatever I decide to use. Now, I brought lightweight skin tints with me, so I'm just going to check, because I bought the iconic super smoother blurring skin tint, which I haven't used for ages, and I just want to see what the shade looks like in comparison to the ones I know are kind of fine for my skin at the moment. So this is the Vieve, what is it called, complexion balm in the shade 120, which is neutral, and then this is the iconic super smoother in neutral fair. But yeah, maybe we'll give this one a go because I haven't used it for so long. This is what it looks like, by the way. I'll go in with the brush initially. Oh, maybe I've applied too much. Maybe not. It looks like a pretty good match to my neck to me. Yep. Excellent. It's quite difficult for me to find sort of foundations and skin tints. More recently, it has actually been easier because I feel like the market is a lot more aware of, you know, needing to provide so many different shades. And you would think, because historically a lot of foundation, well, a lot of makeup brands have historically not provided products for all skin tones, particularly the darker skin tones. But I've like become aware that I have an unusual undertone. Well, not unusual, but I say maybe it's not as common. I don't really fit into the pink or yellow or peachy undertones. I have like a green, basically an olive undertone. So I always thought I was leaning warm, but yellow would look too yellow. So if I find ones that are sort of, so I go with neutral if they don't have one that's specifically fair olive. But yeah, it's actually hard to know. I think I'm warm, slightly leaning warm because I have the green, but then I have a slight yellow, but it's very hard to know, to be honest, because I always have to go with a neutral foundation. I don't really apply any too much like under my eye there. I accidentally went a bit too close because I don't want this layered with concealer. I have dry leaning skin. I say that because I have extremely dry areas here. I do still have slight oily T-zone and kind of normal skin around the peripheral of my face. The peripheral? Around the periphery of my face, the outside. But yeah, here it is clinging. I don't know if you can see a little bit. That looks a bit red there. We haven't blended that very well. Yeah, kind of around my nose and here, it does look a little bit like it's clinging, but that's because I have like scaly skin there and there's not much I can do about it. I can apply like 5,000 moisturizers and primer and whatever, and it's still, that's just how my skin is, so we just have to go with it. But I am going to take a little bit more on my sponge just so we can avoid taking any product off. See where I haven't, we need a little bit more here, I think, and there. And I'm just going to try and create a more even finish with this. Whenever I apply my foundation with a brush, I always go in with a blender afterwards. Because it doesn't matter what brush I use, I always end up with slight brush strokes or lines or something. But yeah, although it's a very good match to my neck, I am going to take a little bit down here. Probably should have done my brows before I'd done this actually, but we'll just do brows last when I do my mascara. Oh, and now I've just thrown my sponge 2 meters away. Excellent. Oh. Actually, I think because I'm wearing this top, I do need to put some on it, a bit more on my chest. My body's so pale. And actually, I think this is, why is it not coming out? Oh, there we go. This is neutral, but it seems to be leaning slightly, I don't know if you can see it, like peachy pink. But you can see when I put that on there like that. What is that mark? I don't know what that is. You can really see the like greeny undertone in my skin whenever I put anything that's like kind of pinky. Do you see here? It probably looks yellow in the camera actually, but it's kind of green. Sometimes even looks grey, but it's more, I think it's more of like a greeny, slight yellow kind of colour. I don't go straight in with my concealer because I prefer to put other cream products on, then apply the concealer and set very quickly. So there isn't really too much time for it to get really creased and horrible before I set it. So I'm going to apply some contour. This is the Fenty Matchstix Amber 01. I normally draw the lines on my face, but I feel like I might try, maybe I'll put it on the back of my hand actually, and then go in with the brush and see how that works out, because it's a technique I've not used before. And then maybe I'll get a nicer blend. That's not really working, is it? No. I've never had problems with it taking my makeup off, so I don't really care about applying it straight to my face. I just thought we'd try a different technique today. This is the Made by Mitchell MDC 5. Can you guys see that? I don't think this Fenty contour likes this skin tint, because it's really, like, it basically looks like it's picked up a load of the product there. I've never had that problem with any foundation I've used before. Let's try and blend this side out before it dries. And then I may have to just try and cover it up with my bronzer, which is also Fenty, so that may be a problem. There's a lot of separation going on there. Never ever had that issue before. Maybe I just need to use that skin tint with powder products instead of cream. Maybe that's the issue. But now I'm going in with the Fenty Beauty Cream Bronzer Cheeks Out. Oh, that's not the shade. Cheeks Out Cream Bronzer in 03 Macchiato. Looks like this. I like to have my bronzer quite high up, like where I would naturally catch the sun. And I don't like to put too much up on my forehead. It's not like I'm trying to make it smaller. I just literally want it to look a bit sun-kissed. Did I even put bronzer on this side? Don't think so. I went straight up to the forehead. I think it's fine. My hair keeps getting in my face. I don't know if anyone else has this issue. My hair is, I just feel like it's getting finer and finer as time goes on and I get older, but it's just so uncontrollable. Like literally the only way that I can, this doesn't happen. I don't like to wear hairspray. I'm not going to, and I haven't got time or energy to be doing that every day. But the only time I don't have all of this going on is when I literally day before hair wash and I do it like a slick back bun or a slick back pony. The rest of the time, this is just, ugh. I wish I was one of those girls who had the time, the energy, the inclination to be doing my hair every day, but I just don't. But obviously, look at the state of it. It's just always chaotic. For blush, I'm going to use the e.l.f. I don't even know what this is called. Oh, Camo Liquid Blush in the shade Dusty Rose. This is extremely pigmented, so I think I'm going to put it on the back of my hand again and work it into the brush before I go onto my face. This is quite like what I would consider to be like quite a muted blush. It's like slightly peachy pink, but because we've gone so vibrant on the eyes, I don't want to be putting anything too crazy on the cheeks. I think we just need like a little flush of colour. So I'll just be careful when I apply this. I'm going in with a very light hand because this product is so pigmented. It's actually ideal if you're really going for a blushy blush look, you know? It's easy to layer and to build up, but it's also great if you want a very light, it's so creamy look. Look how much I've got in my hand. But we don't need it because of the eyes. The eyes are the focus today. That was literally like one dot of this on the back of my hand worked into the brush for both cheeks. So if it looks like my eyes are darting around, I have a mirror down here and obviously the screen is here, but the camera lens is there. So it's not that I don't want to make eye contact with you, even though you're not really there until you watch it, but it's just easier for me to see what I'm doing at this angle. I've only got two concealers with me. One is the 17 Second Skin Enhancing Concealer, which is my go-to every day. I don't wear makeup every day, but like if I just want a really light, almost nothing makeup, this is the one that I'll use under my eyes. It's so thin, but not in a not like there's no coverage kind of way. It's just extremely creamy. So you just need a very small amount just to take like the edge off your kind of dark circles or whatever. And I like it because it doesn't crease, because it's like very, I don't know if thin's the right word, but because it's so hydrating and creamy and you can go in with like a thin layer, I find that it just doesn't crease half as bad as some of the other concealers I have. Like I love the coverage and some of the tones that I have in my other concealers, but they just crease so bad because I am getting a bit older now and I do have quite a few lines there. I also have the Maybelline New York, I don't know why I said Maybelline New York, everyone knows it's Maybelline New York. The Maybelline Instant Anti-Age Eraser Multi-Use Concealer in 00, which is actually crazy that this is the lightest shade, because that doesn't even look that light, does it? Anyway, yeah, I haven't used this for a while. It's look a bit dry though. I don't know if I want to use this. Should I try it? How do I even get product out of this? I'm not sure. Maybe there's not enough product coming out. That's why it looks so dry. I'm just trying a very small amount to start with, and I'll blend it out with this Rare Beauty concealer brush. I've just learned as I've got older that it's much better to go in with like a really small amount of concealer to start with. You can always put more on, but you can't take away once you've got it on there, and it can look, on like older skin, it can look really kind of crepey and horrible if you just go in with some really thick layers. So also I follow Katie Jane Hughes. I don't know if you guys know her or follow her. She's like an amazing makeup artist, and she talks a lot about using minimal product and really thin layers, and not applying layer after layer after layer, just kind of going in where you need with certain products to avoid that happening, like to avoid cakiness, crepiness, whatever. So if you don't follow her already, she's, you know, she has so many like tips like that which have been really helpful to me. So I don't think it's really covering my circles here, so maybe I need to try and put a little bit more specifically there. And then I'm going to go back in with my beauty blender. So under this eye, I think you can see there, it is getting a little bit kind of, it's like sticking. I do have dry skin under my eyes a little bit. This one is looking okay though. That's not really happening. But here I do have, it is like grabbing up, but it's not looking bad. I'm thinking about trying a colour corrector because I've never used one before. Just to maybe, because then I can use less product. Maybe I just need a colour corrector in those areas, and then like a light layer of concealer on the top. Maybe that would work better for me. And then just to make sure there's no kind of lines, I'm just going in with the brush I use for my blush, like a bit closer. Now I think I will set the under eyes. Here's my mini elf puff. It's perfect for under eyes. I do have some product breakup there, but I think that's where I put the contour. I just go in with my finger just before I set with powder to make sure there's not a huge buildup of concealer in my lines. I mean, there's gonna be, you can't avoid creases completely because I have lines there, and you know, I think I say that like every video. It's not realistic to expect something's going to completely remove your lines. And then when I set, so this is the Vieve powder again, I like rub it into the puff, and then I just rub it into the back of my hand because we don't want 10,000 bits of powder. And then I look up to stretch that under eye. You can see that. And it's always better as well to go in with like small amounts of powder, and you can always go in with another layer if you don't think that you're set enough or you haven't applied enough and it still looks too creamy or whatever you're using it for. Well, if you apply too much at the start and it goes cakey, there's not a lot you can do about it apart from redo your makeup. So small amounts, light layers is always best, I think, with respect to everything with regards to makeup, to be honest. Where's my powder brush? God's sake. Find anything. And then for long-lasting makeup, I do go in with powder, blush and bronzer over the top. So I'm going to set the rest of my face now with powder, the same powder I just used for my under eyes. Like I said, I do get dry skin, but I also do get oily as the day goes on in particular areas. And also I don't want to be applying powder products on top of the cream products without setting them first, because depending on how the products work together, you could end up with really patchy mess where you've got like high pigment where the powder sticks on in some areas, and then you don't get a very good blend, which is why you need to powder on top of your cream products. I mean, I know there are some specific products that you don't need to do that. I think Patrick Tar, I don't have any of his products, the blushes or the eye products or anything, but I know that those in particular, you can use the powder and then go over the top with the cream and they still work completely fine together. But obviously most people will be using products from different brands in one makeup look, and unless you use them all the time and you know exactly how they work together, it's not worth taking the risk and then having like really patchy, like badly blended makeup. Just around this area I still put a small amount of powder because it always looks shiny, but because I've got the dry skin there, I don't go like ham with the powder like I do in some other areas. I just make sure these areas are set for the powders. Actually, I may not go in with a powder blush because I only have one here with me at this moment, and it's the Benefit Krista in Mini, which is a really vibrant kind of coral colour, and I think that's going to be too bright with the eye look we've got going on, because I don't want to distract from the eye. But we will go in with a layer of Hoola. That might help to cover up this separation we've got going on here. So I'm using this brush, Morphe E4, which is like a good contour bronzer brush. This one's a bit warmer. Where is my brow stuff? I'm going to do my brows now. I've got the Benefit 24-hour brow setter, which is the clear gel. I haven't used this for a while. I can't remember if it's one of the gels slash pomade type things that will make my brows have like white bits in it when it dries. I'm just creating a bit of a kind of fluffy brow situation. I think the light is not good enough again. It's really hard to, obviously I'm new to this, well, relatively new to posting regularly, but the resolution of the video really changes as, even if the light dips like slightly, but then I found that I don't like filming with artificial light too much, because the colour of the makeup is not always like very accurate. Like when you guys see it, it comes across a bit different. So I'm still trying to work out like the best setup really. And then when that dries, I'm going to go in with this, the Benefit gel that has colour to it. Can't remember the name of it because all the writing's come off, but it's the tinted like gel. This is in like a dark brown, maybe a 3. I've got 3 or 4.5, so I can't remember which one it is, but we're going with that. And then just to fill out any sort of sparse areas, I've got the NYX Lift and Snatch brow tint pen in, I don't even know, ash brown, and I just normally go in the front and the very end just to fill in like a few spaces there. This one is very like precise, so you can actually draw real hair strokes. I probably need a darker one, but I sometimes find dark browns too warm. They look more like chocolatey, and that doesn't really go, because I kind of have like, this is, well, my roots have grown out a couple of inches at least. What is that in my hair? Yeah, my roots have grown out a couple of inches, so this is my natural colour, and it's quite like a neutral, might be even slightly leaning ashy, I'm not sure. So we never want any kind of really warm toned products on my brows, because it just looks a bit funny. A few gaps here, that's no good. I kind of wanted to create like a blown out look, so we'll go in with the transition shade first. And what I do is like pinch the brush so that it is really thin, so I can get in my under eyes. Right, now we're going to go in with the darker one. Let's see how this turns out. I'll start on the outer corner. See how it just starts to make it look a bit softer and a bit more sort of blown out, and then you don't need to worry too much about the line. You also want to work really gently when you do this, because obviously you've already done your base, you don't want to have too much fallout everywhere. So it just takes like really small amounts of the eyeshadow, tap the excess off. I'm just going to go in with the transition shade again, just to diffuse that a bit and make it a bit more of a seamless blend. Now we're going with the setting spray before I do my mascara and my lips. I know this looks really dramatic, but it's really helpful. It makes everything dry so much quicker. She's looking glowy. Before I forget, I've got some Skin Dew, which is Vieve. It's like a glow multitasker, so you can use it as a primer, you can mix it with your foundation, you can also use it as like a highlighter, And I think it's really good on your, I've never actually used it for this before. I think you can kind of like, I don't know if you can even see it. The lighting's not great. But yeah, it's good on your like high point, your shoulders, your, what is this even called? Breast, no, not breastbone. What am I talking about? Collarbone. Oh, brain fog. Yeah, you can't, sorry, we're losing the light, so you can't really, oh, did I knock the camera there? You can't really see it. I'm actually gonna go in with a powder highlighter. This is the e.l.f. baked highlighter. I think I've only got 2 powder highlighters. Is this one, baked highlighter in Moonlight Pearls. This is what it looks like. And I've also got the Benefit one that's that kind of like pinky champagne colour, which is really pretty as well. I think it's called Twinkle, but not, I think they do a blush version, but or a powder version or something, but I've got like the highlighter one. It's, I think, quite an OG, like old product, because I don't use it that often, but that one's really pretty as well. Like, this one's more of a champagne shade. There you go, can you see? I'm just going to take this really small one just to put a little bit on my brow bone. Right upper lip and the tip of my nose. I'm going to have to take this kind of eyeliner brush and use the like pointy end. I've been remembering these lately. Try not to mess everything up in the process. And I'm going to go in with the Sky High in Blackest Black, or Cosmic Black, I think it is. Mascara's dried out quite a lot since I first got it, so it goes on a bit thicker. Sorry, that wasn't very good view there, was it? It's like a nude colour, but just, you can see the difference, like it just gives a little bit of something. I'm not very good with things in my waterline. For lips, I want to do something sort of just quite nude because I don't want to take away from the eyes. So I'm going to use the traced out lip liner in Peanut Butter by Fenty. It's just like my go-to brownie kind of nude. So I just line first in the sort of actual line of my lips. Fill in slightly, and then I'll start to overline my Cupid's bow, and I also slightly overline here, and then I'm using the Fenty, what the hell is this called again? I always forget every time and I can't read, it's so small. Gloss Bomb Sticks in Tulip Kiss, which is like the lightest shade, but it's on the like kind of orangey peachy side. And I really love it as a nude. I'm not, you'll probably tell by now, I'm not really that into pinks. I will occasionally wear them, but I lean more towards like the browns and the peaches and like corals and stuff. See, isn't that so nice? It's like one of my favourite lip combos at the moment. I sometimes think maybe I need to use a different primer in this like very midsection, like a more mattifying primer, but then it's difficult because I have extremely dry skin next to slightly oily skin, like in that small area. So I'd really have to like, you know, apply primers in like pinpoint areas, which just seems a bit too much effort to me. Maybe that's, I did put a highlighter on there, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Lips, brows, I feel like I always forget something. I do need to take my hair out though because it just looks a bit crazy right now. I'm thinking about adding a bit of this Vieve Lip Dew in Original, which is like, it's clear basically, but with a whole bunch of lightly coloured sparkles in it. Just to give like a more reflective doesn't add any colour, just adds like a higher shine. Yep, I think that was the right choice. Very cute. Very nice. Right, let me see if I've got a kink in my hair now. I need to put some oil in it. I think it's gonna go a bit crazy when I try to brush it. Oh, maybe not. Yes, I do have a bit of a kink back there. Friday then, Saturday, Sunday, what? Oh, I've got that song in my head. What is that now? Get out. Probably should go all out, seeing as I've just spent like the best part of 2 hours putting this makeup on. Really big ones. Yes, we do want the big ones. Yeah, baby. Okay, so that's it, guys. I may have missed some steps out, I'm not sure, but my brain has gone blank, so I think it's time to end the video. If there's anything I'm missing, or if there's anything you want to specifically see me film, like particular looks or anything, then let me know in the comments. And yeah, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.